The arrival of the Deathworlder fleet. The Galactic Council's central monitoring station was always a hub of quiet efficiency, where diligent alien workers glided through their routines with practiced precision. But today, chaos reigned. Warning sirens blared, casting an eerie red glow across the control panels. Alarms screamed as a fleet of unknown ships appeared at the edge of Council-controlled space. Technicians with slender, spindly limbs scrambled to decipher the influx of data streaming in from the long-range sensors. Ambassador Zoran Reed stood at the heart of the frenzy, his tall, lean frame exuding calm authority. His purple skin shimmered in the pulsating emergency lights, his 4 eyes fixed on the main holographic display. Reed had spent over 3 centuries in service to the Council, navigating countless crises and first-contact scenarios. But nothing in his long career had prepared him for this. "Report," he said, his voice calm but commanding. The single word cut through the cacophony, silencing the panicked whispers and frantic tapping on control panels. A young technician turned, her trembling fingers clutching a data pad. "Ambassador, the fleet, it's massive. 732 ships in total. They appeared out of nowhere. Our sensors can't identify the technology they're using, it's beyond anything we've ever encountered." Reed narrowed his eyes as he approached the central console, his gaze scanning the numbers displayed on the screen. The fleet's composition was baffling. The ships were colossal, built with thick, reinforced hulls that defied the Council's understanding of efficient space travel. They emitted energy signatures that were chaotic and raw, enough heat to incinerate most Council species. And yet, the ships moved with eerie precision, like predators stalking their prey. "Are they broadcasting anything?" Reed asked, his voice steady despite the growing unease in the room. "Yes, sir." A single message, repeated across all frequencies, the technician replied, her voice tight with apprehension. "But it's in an unknown language." Reed gestured sharply. "Run it through the universal translator." Moments later, the room filled with a clear, firm voice, deep and steady, laced with an unfamiliar confidence. "This is Admiral Thomas Wilson of the Earth Exploration Fleet. We come in peace and seek diplomatic contact with the governing body of this region of space." The room fell into stunned silence, save for the hum of machinery. Reed's brow furrowed. The name Earth meant nothing to him, but the tone of the message was striking. The voice was deliberate, its cadence measured. It lacked the hesitation or desperation often associated with species seeking the Council's assistance. This wasn't a plea, it was an announcement. Reed pressed a button on the console, summoning the galactic map. "Computer, analyze the fleet's trajectory. Determine their origin." The hologram flickered and zoomed into a distant region of space. A single star system blinked into focus. The technician's voice quavered as she read the results. "Their point of origin, it's in the exclusion zone." A murmur rippled through the room. The exclusion zone was a treacherous sector of the galaxy filled with radiation storms, gravitational anomalies, and planets classified as death worlds. These were places so inhospitable that life, let alone intelligent civilization, was deemed impossible. "They're from a death world," another technician whispered. "Class 12. Reed's heart skipped a beat. A Class 12 world was theoretical, a place where conditions were so extreme that survival was a feat of sheer impossibility. Crushing gravity, toxic atmospheres, volatile weather patterns, these were not just challenges, they were death sentences. Yet, the beings from this fleet not only survived but thrived enough to venture into the stars. "Sir," a technician called out urgently. "We're receiving detailed scans of their life support systems. Their atmospheric and gravitational settings, they're maintaining conditions that would kill us in minutes. The gravity alone is 3 times Council standard." Reed's gaze remained locked on the holographic image of the fleet. These humans, as they called themselves, were an anomaly. Their ships weren't sleek or refined like council vessels. They were rugged and practical, designed to endure rather than impress. The humans had not engineered their way out of their environment, they had evolved to master it. "Open a channel to the lead ship," Reed commanded. The main screen flickered, and a figure appeared. The room collectively held its breath. The being before them was strikingly alien yet unsettlingly familiar. It had a solid, compact frame and stood tall with a posture that radiated confidence. Two piercing eyes stared directly into the camera, their intensity almost palpable. The creature's skin was textured, its features sharp and defined. Most striking of all was its expression, a calm, steady smile that revealed rows of white teeth. "I am Ambassador Zoran Reed of the Galactic Council," Reed began, choosing his words carefully. "We welcome you to Council space, Admiral Wilson." The human nodded, the movement smooth and deliberate. "Thank you, Ambassador. We've been exploring this region for some time. Your communications intrigued us, and we've taken the time to learn your languages and customs. It is our intention to join the galactic community." Reed felt a flicker of admiration. These humans had approached with strategy and preparation, studying their potential allies, or adversaries, before making contact. Their methods were cautious but assertive, a balance that few new species managed to strike. "Your world, Earth," Reed ventured, "our readings indicate it is unusually harsh by our standards." Admiral Wilson chuckled, a low, rumbling sound that carried both warmth and strength. "Harsh? By human standards, Earth is a paradise. Our ship's environmental settings are far stricter than what we consider comfortable. In fact, we were concerned your worlds might be too fragile for us to visit safely." Reed's mind raced. The implications of Wilson's words were staggering. If Earth was a paradise by their standards, what kind of resilience had these humans developed to thrive there? Their presence alone was a testament to their ingenuity and determination. These were not the actions of a desperate species. They were explorers, builders, and survivors. As the screen went dark, Reed turned to face the assembled council staff. "Prepare a briefing for the council chamber. Everything is about to change." In that moment, Zoran Reed understood one undeniable truth: the galaxy's balance of power had shifted. Humanity had arrived, and they were unlike anything the council had ever known. The council chamber buzzed with tension as representatives from 200 species gathered in the grand circular hall. Towering crystalline walls shimmered faintly, reflecting the holographic display of the human fleet hovering at the edge of council space. Normally a place of calm debate and diplomacy, the chamber was now a maelstrom of confusion and fear. "They're barbarians," bellowed Commander Groth Stone, his emerald scales glinting under the chamber's soft light. His voice boomed, his frustration palpable as his long tail lashed against the polished floor. "Look at their ships. Built for war and destruction. This fleet is a threat to the entire council." Ambassador Zoran Reed stood at his podium, his face composed despite the chaos. His 4 eyes scanned the room, gauging the reactions of his fellow ambassadors. The words "barbarian" and "threat" echoed through the chamber, feeding the rising panic. Reed finally raised a hand, his authoritative gesture silencing the crowd. "Commander Stone," Reed began, his tone steady and deliberate, "what exactly do you mean by built for war? The scans of their ships show fortifications, yes. Thick hulls, redundant systems, and extensive energy shielding. But have you considered they were built not for war, but for survival?" Stone scoffed, his scales flashing crimson in anger. "Survival? These humans come from a death world, Ambassador. They don't think like us. Everything about them screams violence. Even their primitive weapons, projectile weapons, for stars' sake. Who uses those anymore?" The chamber erupted again, voices clashing as representatives debated. Reed remained calm, letting the storm of opinions rage for a moment before speaking again. Let us focus on facts, not fear, he said firmly. Yes, their weapons are unconventional by our standards. Projectile-based systems are less common in Council space, but that doesn't make them primitive. In fact, they may be uniquely effective. The chamber quieted slightly, Reed's words sinking in. The Council's energy shields, designed to deflect plasma and laser-based weaponry, were ill-suited to stop high-velocity physical projectiles. The implications were clear and unsettling. Reed pressed a button on his console, and the hologram changed to a detailed internal scan of a human ship. Look at their designs. Artificial gravity set to levels that would crush most of us flat. Radiation shielding far beyond what we thought possible. These ships are not crude, they are practical, built with precision to survive the harsh conditions of interstellar travel, and perhaps, to overcome challenges we can't even imagine. A low murmur spread through the room as the representatives absorbed the information. The humans' ships, while lacking the sleek elegance of Council vessels, were undeniably effective. They embodied a philosophy the Council had never encountered, a commitment to endure, to adapt, and to thrive, no matter the odds. Stone slammed his clawed hand onto his podium. And you believe these Deathworlders are harmless? Their very existence is a threat. They'll disrupt the balance of power, destabilize everything we've built. Reed's purple skin darkened slightly, a subtle sign of his frustration. Commander, have they shown any aggression? Their fleet remains at the edge of our space, maintaining a respectful distance. They've announced their intentions openly and are seeking peaceful contact. These are not the actions of conquerors. But they've been watching us, shouted another representative, a delicate, feathered being from the Trisari system. Studying our communications, learning our languages. Who's to say they aren't planning something? Reed shook his head. Studying is not inherently hostile. It is cautious, even respectful. Would you not do the same if you were exploring unknown space? Their behavior so far suggests intelligence, strategy, and a desire to engage diplomatically. The chamber's main screen flickered, and the human fleet's flagship came into view. A new message appeared. To the honorable members of the Galactic Council, we propose a meeting to discuss our intentions and potential integration into the galactic community. To demonstrate our commitment to peace, we will send only one ship to a neutral station. We are willing to comply with reasonable security measures. The voice of Admiral Wilson filled the chamber, calm and confident. The statement was brief but carried weight. The humans were offering a gesture of trust, willingly placing themselves at the mercy of the Council's protocols. Commander Stone's scales shifted back to a cooler green, his anger momentarily tempered by the message. A clever move, he muttered. But what do they consider reasonable? By their standards, our strongest restraints might feel like toys. Reed seized the moment. Then we adapt, Commander. Just as they have adapted to survive their world, we must adapt to meet them. If they are truly willing to engage in diplomacy, we have an opportunity to learn from them, perhaps even to grow stronger together. A nervous silence fell over the chamber. The Council had faced challenges before, pirate incursions, rogue AI, natural disasters, but this was different. The humans represented an unknown, a force that defied the galaxy's norms. Their presence was a reminder that the universe was far larger, and far stranger, than anyone had imagined. Finally, a voice from the back of the chamber broke the silence. It belonged to Lurvan Trax, a respected elder from the gentle Oxus species. Ambassador Reed speaks wisely. These humans have journeyed through the exclusion zone, a feat none of our ships could achieve. Their resilience is remarkable. If they truly seek peace, it would be foolish to reject them out of fear. Others began to nod in agreement, the tide of opinion shifting. Even Commander Stone appeared grudgingly contemplative, his claws tapping rhythmically on his console. Reed straightened, his voice calm but firm. Honorable Council members, we have a decision to make. We can allow fear to dictate our actions, or we can approach this with curiosity and caution. I propose we accept their offer of a meeting, on our terms. Let us show them we are not afraid, but also not naive. The council chamber erupted into a mix of cautious agreement and murmured debate. As the representatives began to vote on the proposal, Reed allowed himself a small smile. This was the beginning of something extraordinary, he was certain. Humanity's arrival was a challenge, yes, but it was also an opportunity, one that could redefine the galaxy forever. The neutral station, Orbital Prime, hovered in the void like a shimmering jewel, a marvel of galactic engineering designed to host first-contact meetings between species. Its vast halls, crafted from crystalline alloys, sparkled with soft light that refracted endlessly, creating an atmosphere of peace and transparency. Normally a place of serene diplomacy, the station was now fortified with unprecedented security. Armed guards, advanced scanning equipment, and reinforced barriers were deployed in preparation for an encounter that could alter the galaxy's fate. Ambassador Zoran Reed stood at the observation deck, gazing out at the approaching human ship. It was far smaller than the behemoth vessels that made up the rest of their fleet, but even this shuttle was formidable by Council standards. Its matte black hull bristled with subtle fortifications, its every detail designed with purpose and precision. Unlike the elegant, energy-efficient designs of Council ships, the human craft exuded raw practicality. Behind Reed, the station's commander, a towering figure with silver carapace plates, shifted uneasily. Ambassador, are we truly ready for this? These humans, their physiology alone is enough to make most species uneasy. What if this meeting goes wrong? Reed turned, his voice calm but firm. If they intended to harm us, Commander, they wouldn't have sent a single ship. They are testing us, just as we are testing them. This is a moment for diplomacy, not fear. The human shuttle docked with a soft clang, its landing process smooth and precise. The Council delegation stood in a semicircle, their varied forms tense with anticipation. The chamber was filled with an unnatural silence, every being present aware that history was unfolding before their eyes. A hiss of decompression echoed as the shuttle's ramp descended. A single figure emerged, tall and broad-shouldered, moving with a deliberate, almost predatory grace. Admiral Thomas Wilson wore a simple uniform, its design clean and utilitarian, with subtle patches bearing Earth's insignia. His boots clicked softly against the polished floor as he approached, his piercing eyes scanning the delegation with quiet intensity. Reed stepped forward, extending a hand in what he hoped was a universally recognized gesture of peace. Wilson paused for a moment, then clasped the ambassador's hand in a firm grip. Reed noted the human's strength immediately, not overpowering, but undeniable. Admiral Wilson, Reed began, his voice steady, welcome to Orbital Prime. We hope this meeting will be the start of mutual understanding and cooperation. Wilson nodded, a faint smile playing on his lips. Ambassador Reed, it's an honor. We come with respect and hope for dialogue. Humanity has much to learn about this galaxy, and much to offer. The Council representatives exchanged wary glances. The human's voice was deep and resonant, carrying a calm confidence that felt both reassuring and unsettling. As they moved to the central chamber, Reed couldn't help but marvel at the way Wilson moved, like someone accustomed to navigating dangerous terrain, yet entirely at ease. The chamber itself was a masterpiece of diplomacy. A circular table of crystalline material floated in the center, surrounded by cushioned seating designed to accommodate dozens of species. Wilson's seat had been modified with reinforced supports to handle human gravity and mass, a precaution Reed hoped would not seem condescending. The discussions began with pleasantries, formal introductions, summaries of the Galactic Council's structure, and an outline of humanity's journey into space. Wilson spoke of Earth's history, its trials, and its triumphs. He described humanity's struggle to unite a fractured planet, to harness technology, and to venture into the stars. For humanity, Wilson explained, space was not a luxury or a curiosity, it was a necessity. Earth is beautiful, but it is also unpredictable. Natural disasters, resource shortages, and harsh climates forced us to innovate and adapt. Our journey here is simply an extension of that drive to survive and explore. A council representative, a small aquatic being encased in a mobility pod, spoke hesitantly. Admiral Wilson, your fleet is impressive. But it also raises concerns. Such power is unprecedented in council space. How can we be sure your intentions are peaceful? Wilson leaned forward slightly, his gaze steady. We understand your concerns. Power, in the wrong hands, is dangerous. But humanity's power lies in its adaptability, not aggression. Our fleet exists to protect, to explore, and to ensure our survival. We did not come here to conquer, we came to coexist. Reed noted the subtle shift in the room's atmosphere. Wilson's words, while measured, carried an undeniable weight. He wasn't just answering questions, he was asserting humanity's place in the galaxy. Another representative, a feline-like being with shimmering fur, spoke up. You mentioned coexistence. Yet your ships are built for environments that would destroy most council species. How do you propose we work together when our very biology is incompatible? Wilson smiled faintly, a gesture Reed was beginning to recognize as a hallmark of human confidence. By finding common ground. Humanity has always faced challenges of diversity, different languages, cultures, and environments. We learn to bridge those gaps. If we can navigate the differences among our own species, we believe we can do the same with yours. The chamber fell silent, Wilson's words resonating deeply. Reed could see the subtle nods of approval from some of the more open-minded representatives. The human was making an impression, not just with his words, but with his demeanor. He exuded a strength tempered by humility, a combination that was both disarming and compelling. As the meeting continued, the discussions grew more technical. Humanity's technology, their understanding of physics, and their approach to survival in extreme conditions fascinated many of the council's scientists. Wilson, for his part, seemed equally curious about the council's advancements, asking thoughtful questions and offering insights that hinted at the depth of human ingenuity. Finally, as the session neared its conclusion, Reed addressed the room. Admiral Wilson, you've given us much to consider. This meeting is only the beginning of what I hope will be a fruitful relationship. But I must ask, what is humanity's ultimate goal in joining the Galactic Council? Wilson's expression grew serious, his voice firm. To contribute, to learn, and to thrive. We understand that our presence may disrupt the balance of power, but we believe that balance can evolve. Humanity's story is one of resilience and progress, and we hope to share that story with the galaxy. Reed felt a surge of hope. Humanity was unlike any species the Council had encountered, but perhaps that was precisely what the galaxy needed. As the meeting adjourned, he couldn't shake the feeling that the humans' arrival marked the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with challenges, yes, but also endless possibilities. The Galactic Council had agreed, albeit cautiously, to further diplomatic exchanges with humanity. The discussions on Orbital Prime had been promising, but skepticism lingered among many council members. Questions about humanity's strength, adaptability, and intentions hung in the air, unresolved. To address these concerns, the Council proposed a test, a joint operation designed to evaluate the humans' capabilities firsthand. Ambassador Reed stood aboard the Council's flagship, Stellar Accord, watching the human delegation's ship through the viewport. It was smaller than the warships humanity had brought to the edge of Council space, but its presence still radiated a quiet power. Admiral Wilson had accepted the Council's proposal with an unshakable calm that Reed was beginning to recognize as a hallmark of humanity. We've identified a derelict mining station in Sector 9B, Commander Groth Stone announced, his sharp voice cutting through the quiet hum of the bridge. It's located in a highly unstable asteroid field. The station contains valuable data archives that were abandoned during a pirate raid decades ago. The Council has failed multiple recovery attempts due to the hazardous environment. Stone's gaze turned toward Wilson, his emerald scales shifting to a suspicious hue. Your team will accompany ours to retrieve the data. Consider it a test of your cooperation and your survival skills. Wilson nodded, unfazed. A reasonable challenge. We'll dispatch a team immediately. Reed, observing the exchange, sensed the underlying tension. Stone's choice of mission wasn't random. The asteroid field was infamous for its gravitational anomalies, debris storms, and intense radiation pockets. It was a gauntlet designed to push the limits of even the most advanced Council technology. As preparations were finalized, Wilson approached Reed at the observation deck. A test of survival, is it? The Admiral said, his tone light but his eyes sharp. Reed offered a thin smile. Commander Stone believes adversity reveals character. He's hoping this mission will expose flaws in humanity's approach. Wilson chuckled, the sound deep and unbothered. Adversity is something we're quite familiar with, Ambassador. Let's see what your team thinks by the end of this. Into the gauntlet. The mission commenced with two ships, the Stellar Accord's advanced scout vessel and the human shuttle, aptly named Resolute. As they entered the asteroid field, the environment immediately proved hostile. Massive rocks tumbled through space in unpredictable patterns, while bursts of radiation flared like solar storms. The Council team aboard the scout vessel worked frantically, their instruments struggling to calculate safe navigation routes. Inside the Resolute, the atmosphere was markedly different. The human crew, a mix of men and women clad in durable, utilitarian suits, moved with calm efficiency. Lieutenant Sarah Vega, the mission's engineer, monitored the ship's systems with practiced ease. Radiation levels spiking again, she reported, her tone steady. Shields are holding, but we'll need to make adjustments if it intensifies. Wilson stood at the center of the bridge, his presence commanding but not overbearing. Adjust course to avoid the next radiation burst, he said, pointing to a chaotic cluster of asteroids on the holographic map. Bring us within scanning range of the station but keep a wide berth from the debris storm. On the scout vessel, Commander Stone watched the humans' progress with a mixture of frustration and grudging respect. How are they so calm? He muttered, his claws tapping irritably on the console. Our best navigators struggle in these conditions. Reed, seated nearby, glanced at the live feed from the Resolute. The humans' demeanor wasn't arrogance, it was preparedness. They didn't see the asteroid field as an impossible obstacle, they saw it as a problem to be solved. Perhaps their world prepared them for this, Reed suggested. Earth's conditions demand resilience, adaptability, and quick thinking. They're applying those same principles here. As the Resolute approached the derelict station, the Council crew encountered their first major setback. A sudden gravitational surge caused a collision between two asteroids, sending debris hurtling toward both ships. The Stellar Accord scout vessel veered sharply, narrowly avoiding a catastrophic hit. Inside, chaos erupted as alarms blared and systems strained to compensate. The Resolute, however, responded with surgical precision. Its reinforced hull absorbed smaller impacts, while its crew executed rapid maneuvers to dodge larger fragments. Lieutenant Vega's voice remained calm as she directed energy to critical systems. Hull integrity at 94%. No significant damage, she reported. Admiral Wilson's voice cut through the comms. Scout vessel, status report. Stone growled, clearly annoyed. Minor damage, but we're operational. Continue with your mission. The human team arrived at the station first, docking with practiced ease. The derelict structure was a haunting sight, darkened corridors filled with floating debris, the remnants of a once thriving operation now abandoned to the void. The team moved with methodical precision, their suits designed to withstand both radiation and the crushing vacuum of space. Lieutenant Vega led the effort to access the station's archives, her tools cutting through layers of corroded panels. As she worked, her helmet's communication feed crackled with her calm commentary. Power grids fried, but the data cores are intact. Extracting now. Reed, monitoring the mission from the scout vessel, couldn't hide his amazement. The humans' efficiency was remarkable, their ability to adapt to the station's hazardous environment far exceeding expectations. Just as the human team secured the data cores, their sensors detected movement. Pirates. A small raiding ship emerged from the asteroid field, its weapons powering up as it closed in on the station. The Stellar Accord scout vessel moved to intercept, but its weakened systems struggled to match the pirate ship's agility. On the Resolute, Admiral Wilson wasted no time. Vega, secure the team and prepare for immediate departure. Shields to maximum. Let's give the Council a demonstration. The Resolute sprang into action, its advanced thrusters propelling it toward the station with startling speed. Its projectile weapons, primitive by Council standards but devastatingly effective, fired with pinpoint accuracy, disabling the pirate ship's engines in a matter of seconds. The Council crew watched in stunned silence as the humans executed their maneuvers with flawless precision. Within minutes, the threat was neutralized. The pirate ship drifted helplessly, its weapons offline. The Resolute docked with the scout vessel, transferring the recovered data cores and ensuring the safety of both crews. As the ships exited the asteroid field, the Council representatives aboard the Stellar Accord were left grappling with a new reality. The humans had passed the test, not just by surviving, but by excelling. Their resilience, resourcefulness, and ability to adapt under pressure were unmatched. Commander Stone, though clearly reluctant, finally addressed Wilson. "Your team performed adequately," he muttered, his tone begrudging. Wilson smiled faintly, his expression unreadable. "We're just getting started, Commander." Reed stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Admiral Wilson, your actions today have shown us the strength of humanity, not just in force, but in strategy and cooperation. You've given the Council much to consider." As the human ship prepared to depart, Reed felt a sense of cautious optimism. Humanity had proven itself in the harshest of conditions, not through arrogance or brute force, but through ingenuity and determination. The galaxy would never be the same, and that, Reed thought, might not be such a bad thing after all. The return to Orbital Prime was quiet, but the weight of what had transpired lingered in the minds of everyone present. The Galactic Council representatives, still grappling with the events of the mission, couldn't ignore the undeniable truth: humans were more than capable. They weren't merely survivors of a death world, they were innovators, adapters, and problem solvers in ways that no other species in the Council could fathom. Even Commander Stone, who had been vocal about his mistrust, seemed uncharacteristically silent as the Council reconvened for a debrief. Ambassador Reed was the first to speak once the holographic projection of the Council chamber settled into its familiar glow. His 4 eyes scanned the room, observing the varying expressions of his fellow delegates. "The mission was a success," he began, his tone measured. "Not only did we recover the lost data archives, but the humans demonstrated unparalleled efficiency under extreme conditions. Their cooperation, adaptability, and problem-solving were extraordinary." A ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. Some nodded in agreement, their skepticism beginning to waver. Others, like the feline-like delegate from the Venari, crossed their arms with narrowed eyes. "Efficiency is one thing, Ambassador," the Venari delegate said sharply. "But their response to the pirate threat, their weapons are brutal, almost primitive. Is that truly the kind of species we want in our midst?" Commander Stone, for once, didn't leap to escalate the argument. Instead, he folded his arms, his tail flicking absently. "Their methods may seem crude to us, but there's no denying their effectiveness. The pirates were neutralized with precision and minimal collateral damage. That alone warrants consideration. Admiral Wilson, who had been standing quietly at the edge of the room, stepped forward. His calm demeanor and piercing gaze immediately drew the attention of the chamber. "Our weapons may seem archaic compared to energy-based systems," he said, his voice steady. "But their simplicity is their strength. They're reliable, adaptable, and effective in environments where energy-based systems fail. That's how humanity has always approached challenges, by using what works, even if it's unconventional." The Venari delegate scoffed, but it was clear the argument had struck a chord. The Council had long relied on technological superiority, crafting elegant solutions to their problems. Yet here was a species that thrived by embracing the harshness of reality, by turning adversity into advantage. Reed took the opportunity to steer the discussion. "This is not merely about weapons or tactics. It's about perspective. Humanity brings a unique viewpoint to the galactic stage. Their resilience and creativity could strengthen the Council in ways we've never considered." The elder delegate from the Oxus species, known for their calm wisdom, spoke up. "Admiral Wilson, tell us, what drives your people to explore, to endure such dangers when the safety of your home world is an option?" Wilson's expression softened, a flicker of something almost like nostalgia crossing his face. "Earth is beautiful, but it's never been easy. We've faced natural disasters, resource shortages, and challenges that could have destroyed us. But instead of retreating, we pushed forward. Exploration isn't just about survival, it's about growth, about understanding the universe and our place in it. We believe there's more to gain from cooperation than isolation." The words hung in the air, resonating with many of the delegates. Even those who had been skeptical seemed to consider the deeper implications of what Wilson had said. Humanity's approach wasn't just about survival, it was about thriving, about seeking opportunity even in the face of the unknown. The chamber grew quiet, each delegate processing the day's revelations. Finally, Reed broke the silence. "It's clear that humanity represents a significant shift in the status quo. Their presence challenges our assumptions, but it also opens doors to possibilities we've never imagined. I propose that we begin formal negotiations for Earth's inclusion in the Council, with careful oversight to ensure mutual understanding." The proposal sparked a new wave of debate, but this time, it was more measured. Voices of caution mingled with voices of curiosity, and the room felt less like a battlefield and more like a space for genuine discussion. Wilson and his team remained silent, allowing the Council to deliberate without interference. As the session drew to a close, Reed approached Wilson privately. "You've given us much to consider, Admiral," he said. "There are those who will resist change, who will fear what humanity represents. But I believe this is only the beginning of something extraordinary." Wilson extended his hand, the gesture now familiar. "Thank you, Ambassador. We're prepared to work with the Council, to prove that humanity's presence can be a benefit, not a threat. Change is never easy, but it's necessary." As they shook hands, Reed felt a sense of cautious optimism. The galaxy was on the brink of a new era, one defined not by fear or division, but by the possibility of something greater. Humanity had arrived, and their story was just beginning. The Galactic Council's deliberations on humanity's inclusion dragged on for weeks, their chambers filled with debates that oscillated between cautious optimism and outright fear. Admiral Wilson and his delegation had returned to their fleet, waiting with a patience that was both unsettling and admirable. Their ships remained at the edge of Council space, a silent testament to their willingness to adhere to protocol, but their presence was a constant reminder of the stakes. Ambassador Zoran Reed found himself in the Council's inner chamber, a smaller, more private venue reserved for critical discussions. Only the most influential representatives were present, their voices softer but no less intense. The table was filled with holographic displays of data from the mission to the derelict station, detailed scans of human ships, and footage of their interactions with the pirates. Commander Groth Stone, as always, was the first to speak. "We've seen what they can do, and it's impressive, I'll admit that much. But their methods are unsettling. Their resilience, their physical strength, their unconventional technology, it's all too much. They disrupt the balance we've spent centuries building." Reed folded his hands, his voice calm but firm. "The balance, Commander, is a facade. Humanity didn't create the exclusion zones or the pirates that plague our borders. They've merely shown us that our comfort has made us complacent. Perhaps it's time we redefined what balance truly means." The elder delegate from the Oxus species, always the voice of reason, nodded. "Ambassador Reed has a point. Our reliance on energy-based technology, on our structured understanding of the galaxy, has left us vulnerable to threats we can't anticipate. Humanity's presence is a challenge, yes, but it is also an opportunity." The Venari delegate, her sharp feline eyes narrowing, leaned forward. "An opportunity for what? To invite chaos into our council? To have Deathworlders marching through our halls?" Reed straightened, his purple skin darkening slightly in frustration. "To learn, delegate. To adapt. Humanity's ingenuity is not a threat, it's a tool we've never had. Imagine what we could achieve by working together." The room fell silent, the weight of Reed's words settling over the group. For all their fear, even the skeptics couldn't deny the truth. Humanity had not just survived a death world, they had thrived, and their presence offered insights the Council had never considered. Finally, the Oxus elder spoke again, her tone thoughtful. "If we are to accept humanity into the Council, there must be conditions. Oversight. Agreements that ensure their integration is gradual and beneficial for all parties." The delegates murmured their agreement, even Commander Stone reluctantly nodding. Reed seized the moment. "Agreed. We propose an initial alliance, a trial membership, if you will. Humanity will contribute to Council efforts, share their knowledge, and in return, we will grant them limited access to Council resources. This allows both sides to evaluate the potential of this partnership." The delegates debated the proposal, their voices growing quieter as consensus began to form. After hours of deliberation, the decision was made: humanity would be granted a trial membership in the Galactic Council, their integration closely monitored over the next cycle. Reed wasted no time contacting Admiral Wilson. The human's face appeared on the holographic display, his expression calm as always, but with a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. "Ambassador Reed," he greeted, "I assume you have news." Reed smiled faintly. "Admiral, the Council has decided to offer Earth a trial membership. There are conditions, of course, oversight, limitations on access to certain technologies, but it's a start. Your fleet will be granted permission to enter Council space and establish an embassy on Orbital Prime." Wilson nodded, his expression unreadable. "A fair start. Humanity understands the need for caution. We'll abide by the Council's terms." Reed hesitated, then leaned closer to the console. "Admiral, I must warn you. Not all in the Council are supportive. There will be challenges, resistance. Some will see your success as a threat to their power." Wilson's faint smile returned. "Challenges are nothing new to humanity, Ambassador. We'll face them as we always have, together." The transmission ended, and Reed felt a wave of mixed emotions. Humanity's inclusion was a victory, but it was only the beginning of a much larger journey. The galaxy was vast and filled with dangers both seen and unseen. Would humanity's arrival strengthen the Council, or would it sow the seeds of discord? Only time would tell. When the human fleet finally entered Council space, it was both a spectacle and a statement. The ships moved with precise coordination, their massive forms dwarfing the smaller, more elegant vessels of the Council. Citizens from across the galaxy watched in awe and unease as the humans established their embassy, a simple, utilitarian structure that contrasted sharply with the crystalline architecture of Orbital Prime. The first official meeting between human and council diplomats took place under the scrutiny of thousands. Reed stood beside Wilson as they addressed the gathered representatives, their words carrying a mixture of hope and caution. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy was watching. As the session concluded, Reed found himself reflecting on the journey so far. Humanity was unlike any species the Council had ever encountered. They were unpredictable, yes, but they were also innovative, determined, and resilient. If the Council could overcome its fear, this partnership could lead to a brighter future for everyone. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt alive with possibilities. The humans had stepped onto the galactic stage, and they weren't going anywhere. The first cycle of humanity's trial membership with the Galactic Council began under a spotlight of scrutiny. News of Earth's inclusion had spread across the galaxy, sparking debates, protests, and cautious curiosity among its member species. Some saw the humans as allies, an untapped reservoir of strength and innovation. Others viewed them as dangerous outsiders whose presence could destabilize the fragile equilibrium the Council had maintained for centuries. On Orbital Prime, the newly established human embassy thrived under the guidance of Admiral Wilson and his team. Unlike the elaborate crystalline buildings favored by Council species, the human embassy was a marvel of practicality, a modular structure designed to adapt to any environment. Inside, representatives from Earth worked tirelessly to learn Council protocols, foster alliances, and demonstrate humanity's willingness to cooperate. Still, challenges emerged almost immediately. One such challenge came in the form of an emergency distress signal from a remote Council colony on the fringes of space. The colony, home to a mix of Council species, had been under siege by an unknown force, an advanced fleet with technology the Council couldn't identify. The initial defense force sent to protect the colony had been wiped out, leaving thousands of civilians stranded. The Council convened an emergency session to address the crisis. The holographic chamber was filled with the anxious murmurs of delegates as Ambassador Reed stepped forward to present the latest intelligence. A flickering projection of the besieged colony filled the room, showing battered defenses and a swarm of enemy ships. The attackers' fleet is unlike anything we've encountered before, Reed explained, his voice steady despite the tension. Their weapons bypass our standard energy shields, and their mobility far exceeds our current capabilities. If we don't act swiftly, the colony will fall. Commander Stone leaned forward, his emerald scales glinting in the light. And what do you propose, Ambassador? Send more Council ships to their doom? We've already lost too much. Before Reed could respond, Admiral Wilson's voice cut through the chamber. He stood at the edge of the room, his presence commanding despite being a newcomer. Send us. The room erupted in disbelief. Delegates whispered furiously, their objections filling the air. Wilson waited patiently for the noise to subside before continuing. Earth's fleet was built for adversity. We've faced challenges like this before. Let us lead the defense. With Council cooperation, we can drive the attackers back. The Venari delegate hissed, her feline eyes narrowing. You speak as though this is your fight, Admiral. Why should the Council entrust a colony's survival to an untested species? Wilson met her gaze without flinching. Because we've already proven ourselves. We survived the exclusion zone, neutralized pirates, and retrieved data from a station your fleets couldn't reach. We don't just survive, we adapt, we overcome. Give us the opportunity, and we'll show you what humanity can do. The chamber fell silent. Slowly, Reed stepped forward, his voice carrying a calm conviction. Admiral Wilson's proposal has merit. Humanity has demonstrated ingenuity and resilience that we lack in certain scenarios. This could be the moment where we see what their presence truly means for the Council. The vote was close, but the decision was made. Humanity would lead a joint fleet to defend the colony, with Council forces providing support. It was a risk, but one that offered the potential for a powerful alliance if successful. The human flagship, Endeavour, led the charge. As the fleet entered the besieged colony system, the scope of the threat became clear. The enemy fleet was vast, their sleek ships darting through space with deadly precision. Council forces had struggled against them, their weapons proving ineffective. Humanity, however, came prepared. The Endeavour unleashed its full arsenal, projectile weapons, kinetic railguns, and adaptive shielding that absorbed and countered the enemy's attacks. Admiral Wilson coordinated the defense with surgical precision, leveraging humanity's experience with asymmetric warfare. Council ships, inspired by the humans' tactics, adapted their strategies to complement the attack. On the colony's surface, Lieutenant Sarah Vega led a ground team to secure key locations and evacuate civilians. The human soldiers moved with efficiency and discipline, their durable suits allowing them to navigate hazardous environments where Council species struggled. Civilians watched in awe as these newcomers turned the tide of battle, their bravery and determination undeniable. The battle raged for hours, but humanity's approach proved decisive. The enemy fleet, unable to counter the combined might of the joint forces, began to retreat. As the last of the attackers fled into the void, the fleet erupted in cheers. Against all odds, the colony was saved. When the fleet returned to orbital prime, they were greeted as heroes. The once divided Council chamber now echoed with praise for humanity's efforts. Even Commander Stone, who had been one of their staunchest critics, begrudgingly admitted their success. "You've earned your place," he said, his tone respectful if still cautious. The Oxus Elder addressed the chamber, her voice filled with quiet wisdom. Humanity has proven itself to be more than a survivor of a death world. They are innovators, defenders, and allies. This battle is only the beginning of what we can achieve together. Admiral Wilson stood beside Ambassador Reed as the Council voted to grant Earth full membership. Reed turned to Wilson, his voice filled with pride. "You've changed the course of history, Admiral. The galaxy will never forget what humanity has done here." Wilson smiled faintly, his gaze distant. "This is just the beginning, Ambassador. Humanity doesn't just adapt to challenges, we thrive in them. Together, we can face whatever comes next." As the chamber erupted in applause, Reed felt a profound sense of hope. Humanity's arrival had been met with fear and skepticism, but they had proven themselves time and again. Now, as full members of the Council, they stood ready to forge a new future, one where the galaxy's greatest strengths could come together to face the unknown.